Good morning, everybody. My name's Darren. I'll be presenting today on the Brightspace Portfolio at our Brighter with Brightspace conference. I also have Amy Falls here with me. She's going to be moderating the chat. She's going to be making a special appearance at the end just to tell you a little bit more about her experience with the Brightspace Portfolio. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, if you have not done so already, please go to your Discover tool and search for Brightspace Portfolio, and please enroll and open that course. You can just have it waiting in another tab. We're going to use that a little bit later this morning after I kind of go through my spiel and show you around the Brightspace Portfolio today. And that's kind of what I'm here to do today, is just show you around a little bit, hopefully give you some insight as to what is available to students, what's available to you as teachers, and then how you could use it with your students. And actually, you're going to be giving me and the rest of the folks in this session in AACPS hopefully some ideas as well. We're going to have a little bit of a brain dump later in the session where you can just share what you feel like you could use the portfolio for in your situation as an educator here in our district. So some kind of terms to know, and this will kind of also just kind of guide our session today. We're going to be looking at portfolio, but we also are going to be looking at my portfolio. So the difference is the portfolio is where the teacher hub is. That's where you're going to be collecting your student artifacts or evidence, and that's another one of our terms to know. My portfolio is the student side of things, and that's where our students will be interacting with their portfolio or portfolios. They'll have one for every course they're enrolled in. One thing that we're going to have to do is, as teachers, most of the time, you may need to add my portfolio or even portfolio to the nav bar to make it accessible to your students. We're also going to look at kind of that icon versus text-based nav bar. If you've already enrolled in the Brightspace Portfolio course today, you notice I used a icon-based nav bar. In other courses I've done, I use text-based. It just really depends. I like the icon-based for elementary level. I just kind of like the look of it. I like text-based for property on the screen or using your screen more efficiently, especially on a Chromebook. Students can run out of space in Brightspace with all of those big icons floating around at the top. We're going to talk about a little bit about approval and categories as well. The other thing is, the Brightspace sandbox. Sometimes there's a little bit of confusion about what is my sandbox. And the sandbox is really just a place for you to practice and experiment. It also could be a place for you to kind of use as a template to create what you might want to be using in the fall. You can start creating there. And there's an easy way to use that import, export, copy tool in your course admin to move content from your sandbox over to the courses that get put in for you once that whole enrollment piece happens. So we're going to start actually, typically I would start with the teacher side, but for this session, I'm going to start with the student side. I want you to be able to see what it looks like for a student. So I'm actually going to get out of my presentation in just a second. And I'm actually going to be kind of turning to the side. So I'm not ignoring any of you. I'm just going to be actually working from a Chromebook because I have my son who is going to be a third grader. He's in this meet. He's logged in on the Chromebook next to me. And I'm going to show you what his experience will look like on the Chromebook the best I can. So a couple things that we need to think about is students can access their portfolio in two different ways. The nav bar, if you as the teacher have added my portfolio to the nav bar, or they can go right up to their profile menu, click on their little picture or their name, and click on my portfolio. So there's two ways to access. Adding evidence. It's a really cool, simple interface for students. They select the course they want to add their evidence to. They add to the portfolio. They add the portfolio button. They choose the source that they want to draw from. And right now, their choices for a source are the computer they're on or the device they're on. So pretty much the hard drive of the Chromebook or their computer, their Google Drive or their OneDrive. Once they do that, they can actually go into the piece of evidence and they can do some more edits. They can rename it. They can check if there's feedback from the teacher yet. They can add reflections, and that's also where they're going to share it with their teacher. And that's a piece that I think is important to know, at least right now. The way our AACPS portfolio is set up is the student is going to have to share with the teacher before the teacher will see it on their end. So I'm going to show you that now. So first, let's go ahead and I misspoke. I'm not going to go straight to the Chromebook. I'm going to go into our Brighter with Brightspace course. And as you can see, I have my icon-based nav bar, but I don't have my portfolio yet. So if you're not sure how to do that, I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. You're going to go ahead and click on Edit this nav bar. 3 little dots up here. And from there, here we go, there we go. You can see the icons we have. Don't forget, you can easily drag and drop and move them around. I'm going to go ahead and add link or add links. From the list, I can search or I can scroll down. I know this is called My Portfolio, so I'm going to scroll down to the ends. I'm going to check the box and I'm going to add it. By default, it puts it at the end. I like to move it up so that my students see it proud and prominent if it's something I'm going to be using often. Don't forget, you can also enable that, uncheck the enable icon-based nav bar to go back to the default text-based. Save and close. If you want to do this, this is something you would practice in your sandbox where you are a teacher. You can't do it in our Brightspace Portfolio course. You're all students in that course. So as you can see, my portfolio is there, and I promise you it's there for students as well. When they log in, you can check that by going up to your profile, clicking, and you can view as student. Then you'll see what students see in your course. So I've added that to our Brightspace Portfolio course. Now, when you all work in there a little bit later this morning, you'll be able to use it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop presenting here. And I'm going to turn and present from my Chromebook so I can show you kind of what a student will see when they are working in Portfolio. There we go. Sorry, taking a second there just to load up. And I think we're good. All right. Perfect. Okay, sorry for the delay. All right, here we go. So I'm going to start in actually my sandbox course, and my son is enrolled as a student in my sandbox course. This is, if you have kids in the district, enroll them in your course. It's a great way to kind of test how things work if you can then enroll in their account and log in as them, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and we are going to jump in to my portfolio as a student, just so I can show you around a bit what a student will see. And you'll get to see this in a little bit too when you go into our course that we're in together. Sorry, this is moving a little bit slower than I'd like. So if you're noticing this right away, you're seeing, oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, so my portfolio, you can see that my son has this cool little monster. It's called a Funster avatar. I'll show you how to turn that on and off on the teacher side in the settings. As a student, depending on how many courses they have, and you can see my son has quite a few. These are actually all courses from last school year still. These are going to be going away soon. But you can see, if I scroll down, we're going to go into the sandbox. So that's something your students will need to be able to do, is find the course where they want to upload their evidence. So from here, pretty simple. I can see the evidence that's already been uploaded. And then I can click the blue button to add to the portfolio. So let's go ahead and do that first. Let's add to the portfolio. And so I took a few minutes yesterday and I did a little bit of work on I did some Brightspace work. And so I'm just pretending I'm a primary student right now. And I want to take a picture of this for my teacher and put it on the portfolio. That's what I've been asked to do. So there we go, add to portfolio. And you can see there are my 3 choices. I can add from my device, I can add from my Google Drive, or I can add from Office 365 or my OneDrive. For this, I know there's a picture on my Chromebook of what I want to share with my teacher. So I'm going to go ahead and browse my device or upload from my device. So it's not in downloads. I know it's in camera. You could also have them check the recent area. If they just did it, a recent is always a good place to go. And here we go. There's the image that I know I want to use. So I'm going to click and I'm going to open, or I could double click. It's in the process of uploading the evidence, and you can see it appears right away in my evidence. So now from here, there's a few things I can do. And you can see there's a preview of it right there. So I took a picture of that yesterday. From here, there's a few things you can do. One cool thing is I can spotlight my evidence. I can hit the star and it adds it right to the top. So it's something that I can make prominent in my portfolio for this course. I can also come up to the 3 dots. I can share it right from here. I can remove it from Spotlight, or I can delete it. I don't like this picture. I'm going to take a new one, and then I'm going to re-upload. I could also just go ahead and click on it. That'll take me into the piece of evidence. Again, you have lots of menu options, same as the preview page. Here, I can actually use the 3 dots here to rename my evidence. So I'm going to call it Brightwork. And I'm going to save that. So better than that image title that was given. Another option a student has is to upload an audio file. Now this is different from if you're familiar with the Brightspace assignment where they can record audio or video right within the assignment. This actually would have to come from the device. So if you have some savvy students who are good with recording their voice on a separate application, web application, and they can download to the device and then upload it, they can have at it there. But that would have to come from the device. And that's something I'm going to be able to get into today. But one nice thing is they can type a reflection for what this is. This is my best work. And they can add that. This is something this teacher will see once this is shared. And I'm going to show you how to do that soon. Now, the other thing they can do, and this would be maybe a direction you give to your students, is they can add it to a category. So if they click on Add Category, we don't have any school categories, but we do have class categories. Oh, actually, we do have school categories, excuse me. But I would have them click on Class Categories. And I asked him to upload this one to their Science category. Once they've done that, they can just click out of it, and you can see Science is added as a category. Let's move back to the top. So that's kind of the left-hand side of the portfolio screen, or the evidence screen. Now we're going to look at the right side. Here, the student can see any feedback that the teacher has given, but that's not possible yet because it's not actually shared with the teacher yet. And that has to be done by hitting this toggle right here in the upper right-hand corner. Once that's done, I know that the shared status has been updated, and now my teacher can see it. So once I'm finished, I'm going to go back to my sandbox, and I can see all my updates have happened. I can see that it's shared. This is dark, kind of a dark gray or black, as opposed to kind of that lighter color it was before. I can see that as a student, I have no feedback yet. I can see that it's in a category, and I can see that I've spotlighted it. So my teacher will actually see it that way as well. All right, I just want to check my notes and make sure. Okay. The other thing is, I just wanted to show you the rest of the evidence here. So you can see there's 3 other pieces of evidence shared in this course that the student has uploaded into this course. You can see 2 of them have been shared. And you can see 1 of them has not. The student hasn't done anything with this yet. Let's check out one of these. So you just kind of see a finished product. One thing I like is that If the student wants to see it, if there's not a good preview of it, if they click download, it'll either download it if it needs to, or if it's on the device or in their drive, it'll go right to the drive. So as you can see, and it's taking a little while, but it's going right to the drive. This is just a screenshot that was uploaded earlier. Taking a little bit to load, but it's in Google Drive, so that's kind of nice. It doesn't actually have to download. You can see that the name has been changed. You can see there's evidence here, or I'm sorry, excuse me, a reflection here that the student wrote. I'm sorry, no, that the teacher wrote. I'm going to show you how to do that. You can actually add the reflection for the student if they didn't add one. So you can see added by teacher. I just put that there for my recollection during this course. And you can see it's already added to a category. At the top, we know it's shared. And we know, then we see some teacher feedback from dad or teacher. Good job, Wes. So that is a kind of a more finished product. So that is the student side from a Chromebook. Not bad, pretty much can see everything. And that is...
Hey, Darren, we got a couple of questions about the student portfolios.
It's a great place to stop, yes.
Oh, perfect. So one of the big questions is, will the student portfolios stay active year to year so teachers can see previous years, like after, of course, after this year? So
the portfolio is attached to the course. So I'm not positive about that, but I'm thinking that if the course is archived, the portfolio for that course will also be archived. Nothing ever really goes away, so I think there's always a way, but it'll be archived with that course.
Okay. And then can parents see the student portfolios?
Yes, well, not yet. So that's something that is a setting that hasn't been turned on yet, and I know that we're kind of still in the works as far as getting how we're going to work parent access to Brightspace and how parents are going to access. But that is a toggle that can be turned on. And then that's up to the teacher, I believe, to share it with parents.
Awesome. And all the participants are doing a good job helping each other answer too. I'm trying to keep track.
Yeah, I really appreciate
everybody's doing a great job helping out.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to move into the portfolio side now. So just give me a second to do a little bit of a stop presenting on one side and start on another. And we're going to go back. All right, here we go. So now let's move in to the teacher side of things. Let me get back to our presentation just to make sure we're still on track. And if you see me looking over to the left, I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I'm covering everything. So just like the student portfolio platform, the teacher portfolio platform is really just as simple. It looks great, easy to manage. So a couple settings that you have right away, and I'll show you how to get to your settings, is turning on that Funster avatars. Typically at the elementary level, but there's nothing that says you can't use it at the secondary level as well. Otherwise, if we're not using the Funster, students have the ability to upload profile pictures of themselves for their portfolmore. And there's also that category management piece. If you go into the presentation, which is in the Brightspace course, this link will actually take you to more about kind of that category management from Brightspace themselves. Other possible future settings that we're going to be looking at is that question kind of alluded to previewed this is that sharing with parents piece, the teacher will have, once that is turned on, the ability to share with parents. And then also there's going to be an auto submit that is still being played around with, where students would not share with the teacher. Once it's in the portfolio, it's automatically submitted with the teacher, and then the teacher decides if it should be in the portfolio or not. And you still have that ability. You can still, as the teacher, delete evidence from a student portfolio once it's shared with you. So that's something to kind of be on the lookout for. The other side of things is really you have a lot of the same abilities once you click on a student's piece of evidence that they've shared with you as the student did. You can delete it, you can rename it, you can add feedback, and but you can also have the ability to add standards. You can attach standards to that piece of evidence. You can spotlight that for the student if it's not already done by the student. You can add that audio piece, which again is going to be from your device, not built into the platform. You could add the written part, and even if the student already added some written evaluation, you could do add a little bit more, or you could add what you'd like it to say, I guess. And then you could also add notes as the teacher, and those are private to you. So if you want to add a few notes about what this piece of evidence is for that particular student, only you will see that in your side of things. Right, so let's go ahead and explore a little bit. And I'm going to be using my sandbox for this piece as well. So I'm in my sandbox to access the portfolio. If it's not in your nav bar, you could always add it like I showed you before. Just look for portfolio, not my portfolio. Or you could always go into your class tools and your course admin. Your course admin will get you to any of the tools. Just click on portfolio. I have easy access right here, so I'm going to use it, portfolio. I'm just going to take a second with this because it's very similar to what we had on the student side. So first, let's look at settings. So those are right at the top, and you can see for this course, these are my students that are enrolled. They all have their Funster avatars because in settings, I do have that turned on. So it's a very simple check, uncheck. You have your Funster avatars turned on or turned off. The other piece of the settings is adding a new category. So if I would like a new category, save that, and that'll become one of our class categories that the student would have the option to add their evidence to. All right. I could also have the option to rename or retire a category if I click on our three-dot menu over to the right. Once you're finished with your settings, just go back to portfolio, and then we can start looking at evidence. So you can look at evidence by students, or you can look at it by pieces of evidence that have come in. You could also kind of change the layout, kind of a tiled versus a line-by-line view of your students. So I'm going to look at just a piece of evidence from a student because I know there's evidence there. So I'm going to go back to Wesley here. So what's nice is I have that option to add to portfolio just like he does. So if I have the evidence on my side, if I've given them a Google assignment or he's worked in a Google Slides deck, which we're going to look at a little bit later, I also have that in my drive because I have access to the same folder he does. So I can always upload his evidence for him. You can see the piece of evidence that was just uploaded from him on the Chromebook. So I'm going to go into that quickly. And I have, like I said, pretty much the same options as he did. I can change it. I can upload that audio file. I can change the name. I can go ahead and delete it if I was like, oh boy, we can't have that in the portfolio. Let's get rid of that right away. I can go ahead and type a reflection for him. And I can add that category if he didn't do that already, if I want to categorize the portfolio. And that's really just a nice organizational piece. Next, I have that comment. As you saw when I showed you in the Chromebook, I added a piece of feedback or a comment to another evidence or artifact. He saw that. I can add that here as well. One ability that we have as teachers is to add standards. So from here, so in this sandbox, I've already added standards to this course. That's another little piece of training. I believe I have directions on how to do that in the presentation. If I don't, I will add those after this session about how to add standards to your course. But you do need the standards there first before you add them to a piece of portfolio evidence. Once you find the standard that goes with the evidence, you can go ahead and click Save, and that standard is attached to that evidence. Next, we have our teacher-only section where you can add private notes about the evidence for that particular student. And I'm not going to do that right now. And you can make those visible or not. And that is how you kind of go in and edit a piece of evidence that has come in from a student. So that was very quick, but I know we already kind of went through most of it on the Chromebook on the student side, so that is the teacher side. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Are there any questions that I should answer for the good of the group?
I don't think so. I think they're all being There are a lot of
Perfect.
questions and lots of good. I think they're kind of being answered as you're going through, and again, everybody's kind of helping. The recordings will be on the Brightspace
Yep.
conference page, right?
Yeah, I'll try and put this recording up once I get it. Pretty much the same place you access today's live session. It'll be there. All right, great. Well, thank you for answering the questions. With 214 of us, that's awesome that, you know, we're getting those questions in the chat answered. Thanks so much. All right, so now, you know, I was thinking about when I was doing this session, how are we going to get our students to create the evidence we want? And we don't kind of, you know, for some of them, you know, we need a little bit of guidance. Some of our students are good. They can go off and, you know, open a doc, open a slides deck and create the evidence we are asking them to create. But other times, you know, we need to provide that for them. So within Brightspace, there are a couple of options that, well, there's a ton of options you have. I'm going to go over a couple. So I'm going to go to the classwork in my sandbox. And in classwork, I've already created a couple of those options, but I'll quickly go through how to do that. There's other sessions on creating assignments that you can visit in the Brighter with Brightspace course. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I just wanted to kind of present these as options and ideas before we get to sharing some of your ideas, I hope. So I'm going to go into my unit, Brighter with Brightspace, and my portfolio lesson. And as you can see, I've created 2 assignments for any student that's in my course. One is a Google assignment. You can tell by the little kind of building block. It's a kind of an external learning tool that we use in Brightspace. And this is a Google assignment. We're used to Classroom, we're used to Google assignments, and our students are too. So this is a great option for our students. I also created a portfolio assignment within Brightspace. They're actually both going to do pretty much the same thing, just in a different way. So let's start with the Google assignment. So I just want to preview it first, and then I'll kind of show you how I created it very quickly. So as you can see, here's the assignment. I've added points to it. Every student is getting their own copy of a slides deck that I created beforehand, and they're going to work in it. Once they work in it, as soon as they open that on their side, that Google Doc is in their Google Drive in an assignments folder that they can then access later on. So that's where they're going to go and grab the evidence for after they've submitted it to me, gotten their grade, and I've said, all right, now you're good to go. You can submit that evidence to your portfolio because this was a portfolio assignment. The other assignment is a Brightspace assignment. Let's go to that next. So actually, I'm going to show you how to create that Google assignment very quickly, kind of what I did. If you're not familiar with Google assignments, let's go ahead, and if we want that Google assignments are always in the add existing. We're not making something new. We just have to remember that as an add existing, because you're really just attaching something that already exists to Google assignment. So add existing, and we go to more. And we're going to click on Google assignments. From here, you may have to link your account, but then I can continue as myself. Amy, can you see that pop-up window that I just moved over? I'm hoping, okay, good. So from here, you kind of just add the criteria for your assignment, and then you want to have that attachment. I'm not going to go all through this all the way. So hopefully it shows up in your recents area because you just created the template or you just started working on it. Mine is right in this area here. So I would attach portfolio assignment. You can see right here, each student will get a copy. You may have to play around with the permissions on the original a little bit, make sure everyone can view is the one that I found works the best or works for this. So you can see that everybody will get a copy of this assignment. It'll add their name to it just like it did in Google Classroom. And then your students are good to go, really, with creating this piece of portfolio evidence. Once I have everything set that I want to set for this assignment, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a name. I'll just create it. And we are good to go. I'm not going to add a due date for this one, and I'm going to create it. All right, once I've done that, we are back in the sandbox. Since I created it within my content, It's right there where I started it. So there's our portfolio assignment. It's visible right now. If I don't want it visible yet, just hide it until I'm ready for my students to see it. All right, next, let's look at the portfolio assignment that I created within Brightspace. This is just a different way to get to the same place, really. It's not going to, we're still going to be creating a copy for every student, just we don't have to go through Google Assignment. We can use a Brightspace assignment. So I'm going to go into the edit assignment area just so I can show you what I did. Okay. So as you can see, I gave it that, I gave it a name, which is I have to do because there's an asterisk there. This one's ungraded. It's a portfolio assignment. I'm not going to grade this. I just want to give my students a way to make what they need to make. They're going to use a portfolio assignment template link to create the slides deck. So this is kind of a cool thing, and I actually just learned this recently, is you can create your Google slide deck or doc or drawing, whatever you want to do, and then you could turn that into a template for your students and then add that link to your Brightspace assignment. And what will happen is students will get this. As you can see, they can't do anything to this. It's not editable. It's actually a template. They can click on the blue button to use the template. It creates their very own copy of the template or version of it in their drive. And then they can go ahead and edit it. They can change the name of it, add their name to the title of the document, and do what they need to do to complete the assignment. So a couple things to note with this. You can see one of the directions I added is be sure to write done in the text box below when completed. Because when I created this over here on the right, I made this submission type a text submission. I wanted it to be that because if I did file submission, they would have to upload a file. And when I say upload a file, it's something from their device or from their drive. And I don't care if they do that for this. You could do that if you wanted to. So that's really up to you. But for this one, I did text. But in order for them to turn it in successfully, they need to put something in the text box on their side. So I just said, write done. And then when you turn it into me, I'll see that. And I'll know that you completed your template. So that's more of just a kind of logistical thing that to remember when you're creating an assignment such as this. You might be wondering, how do I create that template? So it's actually pretty cool, very easy to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into the template that I created. And as you see up here, I have the URL for the template. And right here in the middle, or now it's at the end, but somewhere in the URL, you're going to see the word edit. And what you want to do is you want to replace, sorry, this is getting wonky here. I am going to stop that for a minute. That's okay. So you're going to grab the URL. You're going to grab the link to the template. And I'm going to go back to my presentation here. And all you need to do, and this is in the presentation, is take the URL, replace the word edit with template/preview. So edit, swap out edit for template/preview. It'll create that nice preview template for our students. They click the blue button and they have their own version of it. So that's a nice way to pretty much use a Brightspace assignment to do what a Google assignment might do. And I use text submission, so I just wanted to make sure you're good with that. So those are kind of, that's just two ways that you could create an assignment to have your students complete something for the portfolio. So before we move to our next very quick part, and I think we're right on time, which is odd for me. I'm never right on time. Are there any questions, Amy, that we should answer?
I don't know if Leah wants to go. I don't know if you want to take, I don't know if Leah, will you put it in the chat box? Some have been content specific, some of the questions. So I know that everybody wants answers, but those will have to come from the content coordinators, and sorry, we don't have those at this time.
Sorry, yeah. Leah, just let me know, can your, because I do want to get to this next part, and I could actually answer it while we're doing this next part. So if you could wait just another 30 seconds, if you want to ask, then we could do it while people are working. So I was just interested, I want to you're all in the trenches, you know what's going on more than I do. So I just wanted to get your ideas. Like, how do you feel like you might use this? I know for elementary, using the PTD files that we have to do, this is a great way to collect that evidence. But are there other ideas and ways you might use this? So I have 2 Padlets going. One's an elementary ideas Padlet, one is a secondary ideas Padlet. I'm actually going to open up and we didn't get to everything, but that's okay. Darn it. So let's do this. I'm going to open this up. If you want to do this, but do it later, because I want you to try a couple things for me. So I'm going to open up all of these assignments in our class, or on our course that we're in together. And first, if you would like to try just being a student, quickly complete one of the assignments and then upload to the portfolio. And then I'm going to put my side of the portfolio up here just so you can kind of see what it'll look like as a teacher if you want to jump back and forth between the assignment and our meet here together. Then if you want to, go ahead and go into the elementary ideas Padlet or the secondary ideas Padlet and just kind of share. And I'll figure out, and I'm going to leave these posted so people can come back to this and see, what are some ideas of how I could use portfolio in my classroom if I'm elementary or secondary. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to open up the portfolio. And I know, Leah, you had a question. If you want to go ahead, and I'll try and answer that really quick before we get to the last part that I have to save time for.
Leah's question was, can you go back and edit when something's already been submitted?
A piece of evidence? Yeah, well, the student could. Yeah, they could delete it and then edit it and then re-upload. If you're talking about an assignment, once the Google assignment or the Brightspace assignment is submitted, the Google assignment, the teacher would have to unsubmit. The Brightspace assignment, the way I showed you, they could continue to edit as they wanted because they still own the document. So you can see here I have a bunch of you who are students, and I'm just going to choose at random. I don't know if there's any evidence yet, but we're going to find out. Not yet. Does anybody want to unmute and just let me, if you've submitted a piece of evidence?
Sarah Smith, I put evidence in my portfolio for your class.
Thanks, Sarah. If you see my screen though, it's white. Oh, there we go. Sarah. All right, we'll go by evidence here. There we go. There's Sarah's. A little bit easier with a class this size. So you can see Sarah has uploaded the evidence. I can say, nice job. Or I can let her know, hey, fix this. I can add those standards to it. So yeah, it's working. It works. Yay. I can also view it here. If I just click on that download button, I can see it right away in what Sarah uploaded. So thanks for doing that. And so we are at 11:40. And I do want to save time, and I can stay on for a minute if anybody wants to stay on and answer specific questions. But we do, Amy is here, and she's done an awesome job as chat moderator, but now she's also volunteered to kind of just share her experience using the portfolio with her daughter, who is going to be a sophomore at Glen Burnie High School in the fall.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so we just took some time. This is my daughter, Erin, and we just took some time this summer. I wanted to learn. I'm really excited about this portfolio piece because I think that I teach in elementary PE, so I think this would be great for a performance-based class. We can show the students a great visual of their work and how they've been practicing and their growth and their learning. So I had Erin we went through the same steps that Darren and his son did. So I recommend if you can add a kiddo into your sandbox and practice, that's the best way to do that. But Erin had a couple of things that as a student for us to remember, because I'm always learning when she's going through the process. And Darren mentioned a couple of them in this session. But when you were using the portfolio, how did it?
It was a little tricky at first. I won't lie about that. It was definitely difficult at first.
That was her first time.
After playing around with it a little bit more, we learned how to just persevere through it and talk with what worked and what didn't work. And so there's a special button that's share, making sure you have to press that so that everyone can see it in the portfolio, and sharing it, because I was sending in stuff, but she wasn't seeing it because I wasn't sharing it. And so we're just making sure you have to do that and being patient at first. And that's definitely what would help.
Yeah, it was great because we could go back and we were doing kind of I think somebody had mentioned in the chat about doing it on a multi-step project, or so I kind of had Erin do that. We were kind of going through in elementary PE, we kind of go through a sequence. So I kind of had her upload videos of the beginning of the sequence and then the second part of the sequence, so the students could kind of practice going through. I think some people have said, as the teacher uploading might help our little guys, because Erin's in high school, so her using the Chromebook to record herself was pretty easy. But having the kiddos practice recording themselves, which they did a lot last year, so we're already ahead of the curve on that. But I think there's going to be some great advantages to having this portfolio and letting the students add that in.
What types of evidence did you upload?
Videos. Just
Videos
at the moment.
Perfect. Yeah, because that was something I was actually myself wondering about, and I didn't have a chance to do that getting ready for this session. But I think, yeah, especially for a performance-based class, being able to upload a video that you even take. Did you take it on a Chromebook?
I did it on the school issued Chromebooks that we got over for the year, and I opened it up through ClassLink and then went through it and got to my portfolio and everything and sent it in. And it's basically how you upload it is the same way you uploaded it in Google Classroom. Is it says search for file or whatever, and so you had to it was, I forget how it went, but it was very similar to how it was for Google Classroom.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. I was really hoping you'd say video, so that's great. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing. So to kind of wrap up for today, I want to head back to our presentation. Don't forget the recording for this will be available in the Brighter with Brightspace course, along with this presentation or presentation. My wife always makes fun of me. I'm not even sure how to say it. Oh, come on. There it goes. If you want to come back later on and add ideas to the Padlet, I'd really appreciate it. If you want to create your own Padlet account, if you don't have one, I love using this with students. There's a ton of cool features in it. You can use the link on the presentation. That was Amy and Erin. I appreciate you both being here again. And on the last page of our presentation, we have some resources for you. We have 2 great intro to digital tools sites, one for teachers, one for students. We have our AACPS OIT YouTube channel. Don't forget Brightspace support at aacps.org is an email that you can go to if you need some support and have questions. The Brightspace community, if you aren't a member yet, please do that. You can create a login. It's different from your AACPS login, but create one. There's tons of resources there. Go to Google, make the first word Brightspace and what you want, and it pops up right away. I do it all the time. And if you have any questions about kind of your expectations or policy for Brightspace use, you have to refer those to your administrator. And I will be in office hours today at 1 o'clock for this session and also my assessment session from yesterday. So if you want to join me and ask any questions that you still have, please do. And I have 5 minutes left, which is crazy. So I will stay on for 5 minutes. And if you want to unmute or just chat, please feel free. And my email's there as well. So feel free to email me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks, everyone. I see, Heather, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just have a quick question. Is there a way to have, I see that it is course-based for the items to go in. Is there a way to have a collection, like a master portfolio where all their best work from all their classes could be
Not that No, I don't think that's a possibility right now. It does have to go course by course.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Laura, I think you're next on my list.
Hi, I work in the home and hospital teaching department, and so some of our home teachers keep portfolios of students, and I was just wondering how long that would be archived.
I don't know. As long as the course is active, the portfolio will stay with the course. If the course is archived, I'm not sure how. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how long it stays.
Okay, no problem, but thank you.
Sure.
Great job.
Thanks. There goes the phones. Diane, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, I jumped in your session late and I'm trying to upload my portfolio assignment and I don't see where it says to do that. So I went and got the template and I answered the questions and saved it in my Google Drive. But submit, it says text submission.
Yep.
It doesn't say upload my portfolio. So where is the upload?
So what you did the Brightspace assignment. So
Right.
you can write done in the text and submit that. But the moment that you open the attachment, the link that's on that assignment, it's in
Right.
your Google Drive. So
Right.
now you're going to go into the My Portfolio tool in our course, and that you'll upload it there. You'll upload.
I see my
Yes.
portfolio.
Yep.
And
So
then
it's an extra step.
so my evidence, so then I have to go to do I go to Brightspace or Brightspace Portfolio? Here we go.
You go to My Portfolio because you're a student in this course.
Got you.
Yep. And then you're going to add to portfolio. There's a blue button there. Well, choose this course first.
Yes, add to. Oh, I see. And then I can go to my Google Drive.
Exactly. Yes.
And then I should see it and select it and processing it. Awesome. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, good question. Good session. I was in the Google and Brightspace and I got kicked out and I just jumped in somewhere.
Yeah,
and
those are popular.
You were actually right where it's a little more advanced than I'm necessarily ready for, but I learned a lot. So thanks.
Great.
Appreciate
Yep.
it.
Thanks for coming. I'm not sure who had their hand up next. I see Miss Gray, but I'm sorry if I lost track.
I'll jump in. Thank you so much. This information has been incredibly helpful. I'm just trying to wrap my head around kind of the different layers and levels within Brightspace. So when you've talked, the information about the Brightspace assignments with Google was so helpful. Do you see in your vision, if for an elementary school classroom, kind of the assignments are sort of your day-to-day type projects, while as the portfolio is more of like your final reflection? So what you want to keep to look back on. Is that how you differentiate the two?
I mean, I think that's perfectly said. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Kind of like you would do if you're in elementary school. If you are in that, especially at primary level, you do those PTDs for ALPS. I mean, it's not what you do every day. It's kind of a culmination. It's you pick and choose.
Okay.
Yeah. And this would be something great to share at conferences with parents.
Yeah.
So if you want to collect evidence throughout the quarter, graded assignments at some point too. So yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I'm cultural arts, so I can see a ton of benefits for it. And we're a QIP school, so there's tons of stuff I can just see great benefits. So thank you so much for the information.
Yeah, thank you. I see Zoe. I'm sorry. Oh, here we go. I'm going to open the queue so I have a whole list.
Thank you very much. I have a quick question. I understand that our temporary trial classes that we had to set up for modules in the spring is about to be deleted, and we will have access to our new classes in mid-August. What about those of us who want to actually get started with building those things so that we're ready before school starts?
I would say I would use your sandbox. You could start, create some new units within your sandbox, give them a good name so you know what they're for. And then once you have those courses populated with, and then the students will be added a little bit after that. Then you can just go ahead and use that, go into your course admin, import, export, copy.
Okay.
And it's easy to navigate, and you just type in your name, pretty much your last name. It'll take you to your sandbox, and you could grab whatever content you want from your sandbox and dump it into that new course that was created. So it's a great place to get started. and then just
Thank you.
move it over. You're welcome. Let's see, other hands. If you want to just kind of unmute.
I'm sorry,
cool
I
with
had
that.
a quick question, and maybe you answered this, and maybe I missed it when I was chasing after my children.
No worries.
But if we teach, like, okay, let's say I have 4 sections of the same thing. Am I going to have to create 4 separate classrooms, or will it just be like one classroom with like 4 separate subunits for each kid, like to disperse the information?
What do you teach?
German.
Okay. So I believe what will happen is I think you're going to have 4 courses created for
Okay.
you. I think if you have that, you have the choice if you wanted to use one of those courses, but you'd have to, enroll all your students from the other courses in that course. So it kind of just depends on what you want to do. But I think you're going to have 4 courses going.
Okay, well, and I know it's easy once you've created in the sandbox and exporting it. I guess my thing is more posting the information. Maybe I asked incorrectly. Like,
Okay.
am I gonna have, because with Google, like I've worked with
Yes.
Canvas. So I've done Canvas and I've worked with the Google Classroom. So am I gonna have to post it 4 different times, or is there one way to upload it to all the classes at one time for the first section, whatever? I'm
not positive on that. I think you're going to have to, like, if you want to make an announcement, you're going to have to do it 4 times.
Okay. All right, sounds
So,
good. Well,
yep.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I really do
Sure.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Yep, you too. Anybody else before we wrap up? I know the next session starts in about 8 minutes. Okay. And Amy, if you want to run to another session, feel free. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.
Perfect. No, thank you so much. This was super, super helpful. Thank you. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.